Okay, today I'm going to show you about parental controls. Okay, I'm using a piece of equipment called VMware, which is a computer program that allows you to have multiple operating systems on a computer, which is why the screen keeps doing this white black thing. So while it processes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about parental controls. Parental controls came about as more and more threats were found on the internet. What it does is it lets you go in on any account except for administrator and limit what can be done. It's most often used on standard accounts. Say we have two standard accounts and an administrator account on our computer. The standard account one is for parents, the second is for kids. Parental controls allows you to go in and control quite a bit of what kids can do and can't do. We click Start, Control Panel. While it's thinking, it's going to bring up this basic idea. We're going to go User Accounts. You could go set up parental controls on that second little part, but this way you can see it all. We're going to click Parental Controls, and there is the little shield set up parental controls that will tell you that it's going to Windows is going to say, wait a minute, do you have permission to do this? Type of thing. And here it comes. It sort of grays the screen for a second or mutes it. Do you want to allow the program to make changes to this computer? Yes. That was one thing that has happened in this last few versions of Windows. It's really cool. Okay, so we've got our computer administrator, and you really can't do much with the computer administrator. So now we're going to click Kira and bring her up. And the computer's going to think, and you want to be very careful not to get excited and hit the button too many times. It actually seems to slow down the computer a bit. So, if you come up here to game rating systems real quick, I want to let the computer cycle. The game rating system is, you can actually choose which national or international rating system. This is one of those you might as well just leave it on the default if you don't know what one is what. Okay, so here's where we come in, and here is the parental controls for a specific user. Right now, parental controls are off. If we click it to on, it tells us a little bit of information. In Windows XP, and I believe in Windows Vista, there was an area right here where you could actually look at a report that would be created for you. There was a button you could click here, but it is now gone. So, time limits. Control when Kira can use the computer. This is a good tool because, especially if you've got younger kids, and they should be in bed at 8 o'clock at night, and you don't want them up and about. You click the time limits, and you can actually gray out areas of time so they cannot access the computer. So there's Sunday through Saturday, 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. Okay, allowed is the white. If we're going to block it off, that means they can't get in. So, I don't want... Oh, we'll let them have Sunday. So, on school days, until 5 p.m., they don't get to use the computer. and they don't get to use the computer. Bedtime is at 8 on school nights, so it's all blocked off from 8 on. But because Friday and Saturday they can stay up a little later, I gave them until 9 o'clock. And this time period is when they can use the computer. Now, the reason I block out from 4 to 5 is that some parents are like, well, that's the time that they need to be doing homework. If you're not home to supervise them during this time, who's to say that they're not getting on the internet? This is a 3-hour period in which they could be doing homework each night. So, that's okay with me. I click OK, and that sets us up for Miss Kira. One thing that you do want to be aware of is there's a lot of debate as to how many user accounts you should have on one computer. Do they slow the computer down? You know, I wouldn't necessarily have one for each member of the family, but there's nothing wrong with having one for the adults, an administrator, and one for the kids. One of the things to remember about the difference between accounts is that unless something is downloaded by an administrator, it isn't cycled into the administrative settings. You won't get a virus that way. If you download and it comes into, say, a standard user, and the standard user didn't have the permission but got it downloaded anyways, you could delete the standard user's account, and the whole program would be, or the whole system would be protected. So here we're going to click on games. This one is fun for adults to come in and mess with, in that games and chatting are two of the biggest ways computers are being used now. Can Kira play games? Yes. You could say no. She couldn't get on any games at all. You could do it by the game ratings, which this is adults, children under this age. See, and this is the ESRB setting. If I'd chosen another one, it would be a different setting here. ESRB is what's standard in America right now. So here are the settings: adults, mature, teen, everyone over 10, everyone, which is general, 6-year-olds, 3-year-olds. Something a lot of people forget, the mature and the adults. Grand Theft Auto is mature, and is actually, I believe they're kicking it into adult only if it isn't already there. These are like letting your kid go see a rated R movie. Okay? There are consequences to that for your kids. Now you can block specific content. They can't play it if they're not rated. They can't talk about it if it's got alcohol, animated blood or gore, drug or alcohol. I don't want any drug stuff. Fantasy violence. The one thing you want to be careful about that is some of them, fantasy violence, that one's one of those weird ones. Fantasy violence could be in Legend of Zelda. The fantasy violence at one time was considered very high. So intense violence, mature humor. I mean, these are all things you could do. You could get rid of sexual violence, sexual content, nudity, partial nudity. This is all things you can get into here, and you can restrict. And I went ahead and canceled out. We're not gonna. You just click OK, and it would make these. We'll see if we can't get this computer to go a little bit faster here. Come on, move out of the way so we can look at the next page. You can tell I'm very impatient. So here we go. Alright, block or allow any game on your computer by name. So you can go to a specific game. Go back to user controls. So we've done the games. There's one more little area to look at here. You can allow or block specific programs. This is especially helpful if you know that your child likes to instant message or they like chat rooms. She can use all programs or only those I allow. And here, and this will take it a bit, it's going to look up all of the programs. And you can come through here and you can check which ones you want. And then you're going to come in here and click OK. And those are the only programs that she can use. And the only last thing I'm going to tell you about parental controls. Parental controls are only as good as your password, the administrative password login. If they've figured that out, that administrative password, and they can come in and they can change this all they want. So you want to make it very difficult for them to get in. One last thing is that right here in this center section under the kitty cat here, it tells you what, for Kira, what has been done. So, because I canceled out, neither of these are on, but these would normally all be on if you've put parental controls on. And that is how you click OK, and then you can click out. And that is how you handle parental controls.